Gary Price served his country in Vietnam with courage against great odds. He was wounded in combat. He came home. He went to work. He took care of his family. A year ago, Gary was diagnosed with a form of cancer typically tied to Agent Orange exposure, which would qualify him and his family for compensation through the Veterans Administration. At the time, Gary was given 2 months to live. Gary's a fighter, and he's been a fighter all his life. We're a year later now. Gary is today in hospice care, and his family is still struggling to make ends meet, and Gary's VA claim remains unresolved. We're here in Sacramento today to talk to Bonnie Price about a broken VA system and the human cost and the human consequence of that broken system. This is Todd Stenhouse with the National Veterans Foundation.
I met Gary in 1980. We were both outside salesmen for Pitney Bowes. He was in the Sacramento branch, I was in the Oakland branch. We met at sales conference, and 2 years later, in 1982, we were married, and we have been together ever since. In 1967, Gary joined the Army. He was sent to Germany, and he trained with Special Forces. He was put on the Army boxing team. Little did he know that if he lost one bout, he was sent to Vietnam. When I first met Gary and we first got married, he was a big, strong, healthy guy, built like Mike Tyson. And but when I first met him in all these years, he just seemed like he was always running from something. Late December, early January of 2008. And that's when he said this thing is sore, told the doctor. Doctor said, well, we're not worried about that right now. And that's when this thing all of a sudden started growing. And then he went back. He went to the dentist because he thought maybe he had an abscess or something. The dentist told him, you need to get a doctor. He said, you need to go to the doctor. So he went, and they did a bunch of tests and discovered that he had cancer. And the doctor said they had caught it a few months before. They could have operated, but at that point they couldn't. This was all after the fact. Oh, that's him.
You tired? You want to go back to bed and get some sleep? Monica's going to come see you tomorrow.
Do you think the VA claim system is easy to navigate?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's so difficult because they're asking questions about, like when they sent the paperwork, about things that happened 30 years ago. And they're trying to remember, and these are things that, well, you have to answer, make sure you answer this, make sure you answer that. Some of it, you know, and if you're trying to put something out of your mind, it's really hard to go back and pull that information back up from way back here. And so they do make it difficult. And I think that I was very upset when they took the attitude, well, you're going to be dead anyway, so what's the difference?
On what date did a doctor say to you, Gary's cancer is attributable to his service in Vietnam?
April 24th.
Of
2008.
And that was over a year ago.
Mm-hmm. That's when he gave him 2-3 months to live at that point. I wish we knew a little bit more about Agent Orange. I wish people were more aware of it. It takes the VA a long time to get back to you and process paperwork and give you some sort of understanding on what's going on. And right now it's getting pretty bad. We really need some help. Sorry. It's so sad. And the worst part is he just doesn't understand why, you know, why these guys have been just kind of passed over, and the attitudes that are taken about when they served and why they served in the whole 9 yards. It's really, really very sad. We we got along very well. We did a lot of things together, and he was bigger than life. Never thought something like this would catch him.
Gary and Bonnie Price are living proof of why we need to fix our VA system, but equally, why veterans like Gary, who have given so much for this country, need not to beg, need not to fight, need not to scrap, but need to be granted the compensation that they have most definitely earned and deserve. This is Gary's story.